Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, we have our 2K coach and StreamBeat co-founder, Franky G. You're muted, buddy. You're muted. Listen to the new StreamBeat episode on Spider-Man No Way Home. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? We're doing good.
What's going on?
Also, that voice you hear is Reality Check Master, Tiffany Meeks.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
How we feeling?
Feeling good.
I feel like we're at that point of the year where, you know, we're at work and we're just like in total mail-it-in mode. It's like, okay, we're almost at the finish line here. We just got to get through these next weeks. Thankfully, Heat, give us a win. Give us something positive to talk about. Before we get into the positive stuff, let's talk about something not so positive. We have postponed our watch party. This was a difficult decision that we made, but with the spread of Omicron and just the holidays so near, let's just keep Franky's face is poking out. We want to keep our community, our fans, and mostly each other safe. So unfortunately, this is postponed. We're not canceling. We're gonna do it at a later date when it's safer for everybody. I know that Brass had flown down to partly to be here for this. We'll make sure that, you know, we'll have people, we'll have surprises. We'll make it up to you guys. But on the 29th, there will be no watch party at Duffy's. We will reschedule it once it's safe again. You know, hopefully in a month or so, we can have a little bit more clarity on what's going on with our world. So we're sorry about this, and I think it was just the best decision to make for everybody, for ourselves and for you guys and for our community. So
our watch has ended.
The what?
Our watch has ended.
Our watch has ended. Okay,
the night's watch is over.
So getting that out of the way, the Heat have been, I think, as good as you could have hoped, given their injury situation, right? So they lose Jimmy and Bam. So Bam goes down the 29th of November. They've played Cleveland, Indiana, Milwaukee, Memphis, Milwaukee, Chicago, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Orlando, Detroit, Indiana, in that span. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They've played 11 games since. They're about 500. They're either 500 or a game under or a game over, right? I think they're 500 in their last 12. So yeah, so they're a game above 500 in that span, in those last 11 games. Yes, Heat burner Stan Van Gundy did say we were best team in the East. Shout out to Eli for Stan. So let's talk about these last 11 games, because when Bam went down and Jimmy broke his ass for the second time, he came back against Memphis, played half of a half, and looked like shit. So Tiff, I want to give the floor to you, and then we could kind of work around. What are your macro impressions of these last 11 games?
I feel like we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think we were all in agreement. If they could hover around 500, that's all you want. Like, realistically, I mean, obviously you'd like them to do better, but let's be realistic. And if they can hover around 500, that's what you can ask for. But I keep saying, and because, you know, everybody wants trades, everybody wants this, everybody wants that. But the best thing that could happen to this team is happening right now. Because if there is no trade to be made, and this is what you got, all these guys are getting valuable experience. And most importantly, Gabe, because you need that backup point guard. So most importantly, Gabe is getting all the minutes and all the experience that he needs to have, because if you look at it, what is telling us that we're going to go into the playoffs completely healthy? Like, there should be nothing saying this team will be completely healthy by the time the playoff starts. I don't think any team will be completely healthy, whether it's COVID or fluke injuries or anything. So I think that, like, you got Gabe getting the minutes. Surprisingly, Yurt looked really good last night. You got Max. You got Dedmon is doing Dedmon things. Like, these guys are getting these crunch time minutes and they're getting the experience, because if there's no moves to be made, this is who you got. This is who you rolling with. And everybody's saying, Spo's going to tighten that roster like he usually does. He may not be afforded to tighten the roster. We have no idea what we're going to look like by the time the playoffs start. So I'm actually, like, pleasantly surprised with what the guys are doing. Really happy that Tyler, like, came back last night and put together a really good game. He was really active on defense, which I just like seeing from him. He's never going to be a stopper. That's just not who he is. But he was really good on defense. I have a question from Franky, though. I want to know, what did you see from KZ?
I saw hope, I would say. I saw hope. And we've seen it lately. We've talked about his play next to PJ and his growth. And he's not only getting yelled at now, but he's being able to, like, all right, I get what you're saying. Yep. Like, he's showing that he's listening and he's understanding what they're yelling at him about. And it's not just the 16 points, which it's really nice, a nice spark when you're missing a ton of guys. But what I love the most is the slashing and defense, like him cutting, him running in transition. Those are stuff that can be consistent, like you can expect from him. The 3-point shot, when it's falling, is real nice. It's a great fifth option to have on offense, but defensively, we need that length. He can guard a lot of positions, and he's got potential as a help side defender, which we've been looking for that all since last year. Obviously with PJ there, we have somebody who's more than capable, but the hope is that we can develop him into, so we don't have to rely on PJ 40 minutes at night, and he can get these days off.
So the Heat, the last 11 games, they have the 11th best defense, which is surprising. And their offense is about 18th, which I think is to be expected. I think they're really feast or famine, right, with their shooting, and I think they just don't have enough to generate a ton of good looks, other than a lot of DHOs, kind of penetration and kick out plus one swing, and try to get some threes up. And if not, it's going to be rough. And when it works, it looks great, like last night. And when it doesn't, it looks like that Detroit game. And I think Miami's also had the benefit of playing a lot of teams that run a drop, right? And I think the teams that don't, like Cleveland, make you look bad, right? Cleveland, Detroit, they kind of muck that up because of their length, and Miami's just shorthanded. But you get teams like Indiana, you get teams like Milwaukee, like Chicago, that you can get a big and drop, and then now you're cooking with oil, where you can get some looks that you like. Philadelphia is another good example. Miami just looked like, even though their offense didn't look great, you were able to get good enough shots to win the game. So kind of to piggyback on the KZ thing, PJ is obviously going to miss some time now. The fact that he's shooting well in this stretch is huge. He'll make some weird plays on the ball sometimes. There was this one play, I think it was in the Philly game, where he caught the ball on a short roll and had like a spin move to a hook, and you're just like, whoa, that was clean, right? So I don't think he's a good player, but he has moments where he's a good enough player. You know what I mean?
He's like that my player in 2K, where you just have him boosted in weird stats. So he's not a complete player. Right. And sometimes it looks funky, but sometimes it gets the job done,
I'm using him and tapping X.
Yeah. and the great thing is, sometimes he means to hit square when he hits X, and he's like he freezes and glitches out. He
controller
does all
drumming
that
all the
shit.
time.
Oh, gee, real quick, when you're talking about the offense, it got me thinking. Can you isolate like their assists per games in this stretch?
Yeah.
Versus before, like the season total, because I feel like, like obviously you're missing Jimmy and Tyler, two of your biggest shot creators, but that's kind of forced the ball in Kyle's hands a lot more, and forced them. I feel like it's forced them to move the ball a lot better.
So they're right now in these last 11 games. The Heat are first in assist percentage. It's 71% in this stretch. And by the way, in this stretch, Kyle Lowry leads the league in total assists. Chris Paul is second. Chris Paul is 2 assists behind him. If the fact that you're even your point guard is pretty remarkable. So for the entire season, Miami is third with 64, almost 65%. So Franky, you are absolutely right. Their assist percentage has skyrocketed. There's no, I mean, they would go from third to like a comfortable first, because Golden State is first with 69. Nice. And they were at 71, almost 72. So, Franky's eye test, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense because they don't, Jimmy likes to slow that shit down a lot. And even when they run DHOs with Bam, the offense kind of stalls a little bit. And you're not getting a lot of, when the play break down, you're not getting a lot of DHO assist opportunities. So it just made sense. They're getting into their offense early. And these are things like they can replicate, when the guys come back. Obviously Jimmy and Bam aren't coming with new 3-point shots. Unfortunately, probably not. Let's hope. But moving the ball quicker offensively and spreading it around side to side, it's just common sense, basic offense to get consistently good looks, and I think it helps the shooting, honestly.
Well, it does help the shooting.
Absolutely. And Tiff, so I was actually thinking about this yesterday, because sometimes Heat have injuries that kind of force Spo to play certain ways. And so yesterday they're starting Duncan at the 4, right? Duncan was essentially the power forward with him and Strus, with Dedmon in the front court. And Dedmon is, by the way, shooting more threes now, right? He's a legit mechanics, taking more of a threat. You have to watch him on the trailer. Miami's legitimately playing 5 out in a way that they haven't since the finals, when Bam went down and they were playing Olynyk and Leonard and all the Redacted and all those dudes. So Kyle plus 5 shooters makes the offense at times look unstoppable, because now because before Kyle was having issues getting into the paint. And I don't think it's coincidence that when Jimmy went down, that stopped.
Well, I mean, you got Jimmy and Bam that are essentially in the way. Like, that's really what it is. They're in the way. I think this is a good litmus test to see how Spo's going to have them playing once everybody comes back. If Spo's going to revert to the old ways, or if he's really going to just say, you know what, this is what's working. I need you guys to now fit into what's working. Because if you're telling me there's Heat culture, then that means that none of these players are above it, which means whatever's working, that's what you do. And I personally would love to see Jimmy off the ball a lot more. Now, if it's crunch time, if it's 2 minutes left, then hey, put it in his hands. But I think throughout the game, I would love to see him with a lot more off-ball action. I think it also it saves him. Instead of him trying to pound in the post and all these things, where I think that this is what wears him down throughout the season. So you put the ball in Kyle's hands and you say, listen, Jimmy, you're off ball. Bam, you're doing this. This is how we're going to play. But this also opens it up to, we might start seeing some hockey subs. We might start seeing 4 guys out, 4 guys in types of things, just to kind of make it through this season, because that's what they're going to have to do. You got to make it through this season. So I wouldn't be mad if we look up and Spo just takes all 5 starters out at once.
That's never been a Spo thing, though. I don't know if he'll do that.
But these are
the 4 subs. I'm sorry, Tiff. Just real quick, because the 4 subs thing he kind of did in the big 3. He would leave LeBron on and bring all the 4 subs.
Yeah, he'll stagger the stars more than anything.
Yeah, but like those kind of, and we see how great Kyle is with the bench guys. Like you can kind of do some of those things with the 4 guys, and like we came into the season thinking like, hey, we've got 7, maybe 8 guys we trust. Let's hope
Right.
what we got. Now we've got like 12 guys that have been
Right.
playing at some point in the season. I'm with Tiff. Like I would like to see some more experimenting, as much experimenting as possible, because you gotta you fucking need it right now. You got
So
this is all
What's
mirrors.
what is Jimmy? What did Jim? What? How many minutes was Jimmy averaging before he got hurt?
Well, so I'm gonna check right now. I think Spo has done a pretty good job
Yeah,
of managing dude's minutes. I think the Lowry thing is just a survival necessity right now. So Jimmy was playing 33 minutes, almost
yeah.
34 minutes.
Right.
That's what you want your star to play.
But that's what you want. But then you also have to think about it. Like we keep saying all these things that Spo won't do or he's never done. All these are new extenuating circumstances. So the less wear and tear to me on Jimmy and on Bam's knees, that's how much further you can go in the playoffs. Like
Totally
we
agree.
keep forgetting that Bam, not only did Bam have thumb surgery, he still has tendonitis. Like it doesn't just go away because you're resting. It gets better, but it does come back. So even if we have everyone, if we have a lead, I don't want to see Jimmy in the game. We don't need to see Kyle in the game. Like you're building these guys up now so they can handle these moments next month.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that's how I look at it. Like I like to see Kyle like every other night for like a week, take it off.
Yeah,
Because
those back to backs.
yeah, it's like especially when you've got those leads or sorry, but like those are nights where you say, all right, Jimmy, Kyle's taking a rest. It's on you.
They'll do
It's
that
you
more.
it's you and the guys. Like,
Spurs this shit.
right.
They'll
I
do
think
that.
yeah. No, I think he sees that he has I think he thought he had what we have. Like, because you don't know until you see it in action. But
Yeah.
we knew Gabe could play defense. We heard he was a shooter. Like, so we knew he could play defense, but we heard he could shoot. But we didn't know until we see it. Like we knew Max could shoot, but we weren't sure what else he could do. We saw Yurt in summer league, but we weren't sure how he could like
I'm
stack
still
up
not
against.
sure. I'm still
Well,
not
we're
sure.
not sure, but he's all we got. Like so, we take the good with the bad when it comes to Yurt. Like
I think clearly
just
the 2 guys that are not trusted are Yurt and KZ. I think those are the guys that Spo is still iffy about with reason, but I think everybody else Spo is pretty on
Right.
board with. I think
But that's
He
fine
has
because
no
those are guys that, like
choice.
your 12th and 13 guys. Like when everyone's
exactly.
healthy.
Yeah. So when everyone's back, then yeah, we don't have to lean. You're not going to be leaning on Yurt or KZ when everybody's back.
They might not have. I mean, that's why I think this stretch is so important, Tiff, because if they absolutely fell off a cliff, which I don't think any of us would have been. I mean, yeah, fans always get upset, but I think there would have been understanding if they lose that Bucks game or that Bulls game, or they just have a really bad stretch of games, right? And and they could have easily lost that Bucks game, lost that Bulls game, lost that Cavs game, lost that Sixer game, and now you're at a 5-game
Right.
losing streak, right? But they didn't, right? They won. They won 4 of those 5, and they've looked good. So in part, so the fact that they've played well during this stretch affords them some lean time at the end, because maybe if they were at the barrel of the playing game with this tough stretch, they might not have that luxury that you're talking about resting guys,
Right.
but they might have afforded that. Them, kind of back to your point about Jimmy off ball. I think early in the season they were doing a lot of that. They were having Jimmy screen with empty side for Kyle, which was really, really good. I just think Jimmy cutting was great. And Jimmy's a great cutter and off ball player. I just think that kind of evolved to him just pounding the ball more, which kind of
Right.
gummed up their offense at times just because they don't have enough shooting. And Duncan wasn't shooting the ball well. So it's like really your release valve on those plays was just not functioning. So then the offense looked kind of bad at times. So let's, now that Duncan's shooting, I think 40% in his last 10 games, looks a lot more like himself. He still struggles against switches. That's just going to be a work in progress. And I think we got to be patient with that. And he struggled on switches last season. But when they'll have more healthy guys, they'll be able to kind of pivot plays because they get into their sets a little quicker. Let's get into Lowry, because I think he and Gabe have been the two engines to everything that has happened. Simchat just said, are we going to forget the Pistons game? I literally just said a team like the Pistons that switch muck up their offense. It's like, I love our audience, but like, you guys do not fucking listen. I've mentioned the Pistons 3 times. I've said long athletic teams like the Pistons are going to bother them when they're shorthanded, right? Because they're switchy, they're lengthy, and when Miami doesn't have a lot of dribble penetrators, and when you can switch their off-ball actions, how are you going to get open shots? The way that they get open shots is they're running cross screens, they're running down screens, they're running handoffs, and they're trying to get a dude in disadvantage in a drop. When you switch all that, you make it easy on a team, because you go to a bunch of dumb young kids and you're just like, hey, don't worry about complicated defense. Just switch everything. The only guy that can hurt us is Kyle, and we're going to put Cade on him. We're going to put a long guy on him. So just switch everything and they're not going to hurt you, because none of those motherfuckers can get their own shot except for Kyle. And we're going to put the biggest motherfucker we have on him, right? So that's what's going on in a game like the Pistons. And you guys crucifying them at the end of a 4-game fucking road trip in the cold is absolutely absurd. And it's like you're not watching the game and you're not understanding the limitations that they have. When they pound the Bucks, when they pound the Bulls, when they pound the Sixers, when they pound the Magic, when they pound the Pacers, what do those teams have in common? They all run a drop and they all have a fucking cement-footed big. And what does Spo do because he's a good coach? He's like, where the fuck is Sabonis? Bring me Sabonis. Bring me Embiid. Bring me Drummond. Bring me Vucevic. Bring me Bobby fucking Portis. Where are those guys and how are we going to attack them? How are we going to get those dudes in space? So you guys mad at the Pistons because they suck? They do fucking suck. Guess what? Your team fucking sucks too when everybody's hurt. So I don't want to hear this about the Pistons game, because Twitter was obsessed with the Pistons game. And I'm like, come on, guys. Really? You're not going to focus on the Bucks win? You're not going to focus on the Bulls win? You're not going to focus on the Sixer win? You're going to focus on the really bad matchup when they're down all their best players? Am I unreasonable? I don't know.
Hey, man, if the Dolphins can win 6 straight, why can't the Heat? What are you talking about, G? What are you talking about?
Did you see that
every single game fucking matters, G. Every single game. The Heat have 82 games, just like the the Dolphins don't have 82 games. Their small sample matters a lot more than the Heat's small samples. You gotta the season's gonna go in spurts. You're gonna have bad losses. Has there ever been a team who didn't have a bad loss in the season? Like the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan lost by double digits to the fucking Heat with 8 guys at the trade deadline.
The KD Warriors lost to Dion Waiters.
Yes, exactly. Like those Heat teams fucking won games. Like that happens. Bad teams will win sometimes. It's a long fucking season, and they caught the Heat. They played the Sioux Falls Skyforce that night. The Detroit Pistons are better than the Sioux Falls Skyforce that night. It happens. Fucking 9 times out of 10, the Heat are more talented when they're fully healthy. And I mean, they're going to beat them fully healthy, but they weren't fully healthy. They were tired. It was a road trip. And a lot of these guys are playing a lot more minutes than they're used to. Your first half of the season of so far wasn't touched on the floor. He's getting a 10-minute spurt right now. He's got to conserve his energy. These guys don't know how to play. They're getting through the grind of the season, and that's going to happen. We're going to drop some fucking games. But like G said, give them credit. They've won a lot of games. We didn't expect them to win. I didn't expect them to blow out Indiana last night. I thought there was going to be a fucking struggle with the bigs. I was expecting a loss, hoping for the best, and they blew that shit out the waters from the get-go.
Franky, we talked on pregame. We're just like, man, I don't know. I mean, you're like, they got to shoot 45 threes, and I was like, man, can they get away with that again? And you're just like, I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Shot 49. They shot 49 threes.
They set a record. I think they've broken their record twice this month for threes.
Yeah,
which is insane. They just have to like fucking throw them up. I don't mean to get upset at anybody, but it's just
more annoyance. It's more annoyance.
Yeah, it's
like
it's
like we do a post-game show and a pre-game show, so like we have to break down every game, but it's like don't tie your emotions and your happiness to fucking Heat games, guys. Like it's great when they win. If they lost, oh well, get them next time. But listen, guys, a little bit of advice. As much of a great fan, as much as you tweet them and tweet Bam Adebayo after he's not aggressive, he's not listening to you. He doesn't give a shit about you.
Dedmon listens to us, though.
You have no fucking control to how they play. So don't let it.
To us.
Don't let. Besides the mechanic, shout out to Dedmon. He's a goat. He's shooting over 60% from the 3 of the season. Spo needs to let him shoot more. But you have no control over how the Heat play. Just fucking root for them. Be happy when they win. When they lose, watch Hangover Time. Drink with us. Laugh with us. That's it, guys.
No, and like I think that there's like nights, Tiff, to be like upset with them. I think that they deserve it some nights, right? Like there are some nights that they just straight up like, hey,
effort,
like, or not even that, like just do dumb shit or like what are they doing, you know? But I mean, I think a stretch like this is just not the place to do it.
No, but I also just think that like me personally, I don't know, like I don't get too high, I don't get too low. You win, you lose, you lose. I also like don't allow myself to get dragged in by like a lot of the nonsense that I see on Twitter. Like I just don't participate in it because I don't really like care. Because that's the thing. Like fans are fanatical. That's the whole point. Like they're gonna live and die with what the team does, what the team doesn't do, and that's just who they are. So sometimes on our end, it's helpful to just kind of mute things, not listen to it.
I have G muted till this day,
all the time, baby. Listen, you. So let's get into some Kyle Lowry propaganda because that's what today is really about, right?
This is when you mute him.
Yeah, this is when I get muted. Tiff. My man's leading the league in assists since Jimmy and Bam went down. 116. He's averaging 16 points per game, 10 assists, 4 rebounds. Medium shooting splits. I think the shooting is coming.
You almost said mediocre.
Medium. Yeah, I mean, shooting. Listen,
Freudian slip.
What's the shooting percentage? Am I right?
He's 6th overall in assists per game.
No, he's great.
Season.
He's playing a role that I don't think he signed up for.
Yeah.
But that's sometimes what you got to do as a professional basketball player.
Right.
He's shooting 75% from at the rim and 43 from mid range, which is good. The 3-point shot is coming. It's been a lot better as of late. He sure puts him up, and I think more important than anything, he's defended as if those shots matter, and I don't see that changing. You know, maybe Duncan defense is eased up a little bit. They've retightened that a bit, but Kyle has just a long history of being a good shooter that I don't see teams gambling like that too much with him. But I mean, Tiff, my man's been the engine.
I mean, and he should be the engine when Jimmy and Bam come back. Like to me, that's the reason why we got him here. You know, like no, I don't think he's going to average, 20 points a game. I'd like to see him stay around 15 to 18. Lessen those turnovers, keep those assists going because he's moving the ball. He's getting the young guys out. He's getting the young guys running. That's what I really love. Like how many times I've never seen Max just all of a sudden open so much, open for layups, open on this. Like he's cutting hard, and Kyle is finding everyone, regardless. Now some of those passes, he's trying to get people killed. We gotta rein him down a little bit. Like some of them are leading people way too far, but he's moving the ball. Like this is what we brought him here for. We brought him here to steady the ship. We brought him here to be the captain. Like somebody has to run the offense, and that's the reason why we brought him here. Jimmy's the break in case of emergency guy. Like you don't need Jimmy out there running the offense. Hopefully you don't need Jimmy pulling out the cape. But like he's the break in case of emergency guy. You really want Jimmy to kind of just, you honestly want all these guys to fit seamlessly around Kyle. Like that's really what it is. Is it Kyle's team? No. But should he run it like it's his team? Yes. Like let's just be realistic. 100%. Like everyone should fit yeah, right? Do you agree, Franky?
100%. And that was my concern. Like we saw like they get off to really slow starts with the starting lineup. Besides, despite like you thinking that those pieces fit, and it's always been confusing. Like obviously Duncan and Kyle aren't shooting the ball well to start the season, but there's a lot more clunkiness in their process when the starting lineups gets out there, and a lot, obviously a lot of it could be fixed if the shooting gets better. But I do think there's a little bit of Kyle and Jimmy not really knowing who Kyle is playing a lot off the ball, a lot more than I thought he would be. And they're feeding, Tyler and Bam are doing a lot more isolation than I thought they would be. Granted, Tyler's been fantastic at it, one-on-ones and creating his own shot and such. But like I thought with the start with Bam, especially, I feel like Kyle needs to especially like that. I know we're really happy that Bam's resting that knee, and he absolutely needs it. But I wish there was a stretch where it was Kyle and Bam and shooters in the starting lineup to get Bam some confidence going to the season, through the season, and some opportunities. Like I still really want to see that tandem with shooters a lot more than we've seen it. But I definitely agree. I think Kyle needs to run a lot more pick and roll and pick and pops and DHOs. Like I need him to get more of a usage when the other guys are here, because we've shown that this team, when it has leadership and when it has a captain at the ship, it can go. It can go. And I think Kyle is that guy.
He's been a very willing off-ball player as a screener, as a cutter, as a spot-up shooter. I agree with you guys. I'd like a little bit more kind of – I think the diet should be a lot more Kyle pick and roll or Kyle coming off a handoff, not Kyle screening for Duncan to come off. Because they'll have Duncan come off a pin down to then come off a handoff, which is fine, like in parts, you know what I mean? But that should not be the fulcrum of your offense.
Real quick, to add to that, I really, really like when Kyle sets the flare screen for Duncan and he's coming to the ball, because it makes the defense pay attention to Duncan in the corner, and it also has to pay attention to Kyle coming to get the ball.
I think they also have to figure out some of their late game offense, Franky, because before that happened, it looked bad.
Yes.
It looked real
bad.
Well,
the starters, it's funny because they've had some hiccups now, but they look so much better now in late game situations because Kyle knows what he wants to do, and everyone else on the floor is basically going to follow his lead. There's no pushback. There's no talking from any of these guys. They're basically just going to follow his lead, when it's late in the game. But like I said, I don't have a problem when it's late in the game and you're running your offense through Jimmy.
Right.
But I just think those first three and a half quarters, you need more movement. You need more movement. You need less isolation. Because Jimmy can get his shot whenever he wants. So I always kind of feel like, don't worry about Jimmy. Jimmy can get his. Exactly.
Duncan.
Focus more on Bam, focus more on Duncan or whoever else is in at that moment. But Jimmy can get his shot whenever he wants it. So I always feel like stop worrying and catering to Jimmy and let Jimmy just be Jimmy and get in and get out. Get in, get out. And if he's on a roll and he got a mouse in the house, then yes, I expect you to post up. Like that's just a given. That's just basketball. If you've got Isaiah Thomas on you, you should be posting him up. That's just the reality of it. But just the constant hunting for the mismatch instead of actually trying to just run the offense. That's what bothers me.
You should let Kyle create the mismatches by, because Miami does do a lot of off-ball movement, so you can create advantages there instead of trying to find it on ball.
Yeah.
So
and
go ahead.
Sorry. And Jimmy can affect the game. Like there's a lot of guys who on this team that if they're not scoring, it kind of they're not getting their shots. It takes away from their effort, their confidence and focus on the rest of their game.
Wait,
like Duncan,
I don't agree with that at all.
No. Like if they're disengaged on offense, it can take away. When his shot's not falling, he's not confident. It affects the rest of his game.
I disagree with that. I actually think that this team does a really good job of when their shots aren't falling, they play hard on the other end, and they still
No,
when Duncan's shots weren't falling, he was very actively screening in the offense, and like probably a little too herky jerky because he was like really trying to like make up for it a little too much. And I think
that's the problem right there.
Okay.
I mean.
He
I thought you meant an effort thing. Got you.
No,
no, I don't mean like they. Yes.
No, he
I agree with that.
overcompensates
Yeah.
for everything when his shot isn't falling. He overcommits on defense.
He acts like
He's trying to make a play. He's trying to make a play.
Yeah, he's always trying to make a play because I always feel like he thinks if he makes this play, he'll get the ball back. But it's like you're gonna get the ball back regardless, like because you're here to shoot, so you're gonna get it. Like you don't need to press because you're gonna get it.
Exactly. And my point was, go ahead.
He's acting like he was raised by immigrant parents. It's just like totally overcompensating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a B. Oh shit! I better get A plus on everything else.
You fuck up. You overcompensate. You clean the fuck out of that bathroom to get a little bit of approval.
I took the chicken out the freezer. Nothing was missed, Mom.
Franky, we've been there, bro. We've been there. We know what that shit is. I came to this country and I didn't know English. How the fuck are you getting a B in English? I'm sorry, man.
No, but what I was mainly going for was that Jimmy is a guy that he really doesn't need to be scoring to affect the game. He is getting deflections, he is rebounding, he is screening, he is doing so many things to consistently affect the game positively that I completely agree with Tiff. You don't have to get him going early. You know, you can like besides the mismatch hunting, you know, which you can use at certain times, of course. Like, I don't really feel like they need to create as much for Jimmy because especially early in the season when he was fully healthy and playing off the ball, he's running in transition. He's getting leak outs. He's running ahead, getting fouled quickly, getting free throws. He's going to find ways to impact the game. The other guys that can only impact the game in like the half court and offensively and such stuff like that, those are the guys you really need to focus on. You know, and that's where you get Kyle on the ball. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. Jimmy's got ass problems. Kyle has a lot of ass. Why hasn't he given some up?
Transplant.
Ass transplant. A little bit. Kyle's just working with a lot. Jimmy LMAO'd a little bit too often. I think this is what it is.
I wanna focus on not what they'll look like later, but how they look like now. Because I think they do some.
They're fun. They're fun now.
They're fun.
I'm gonna be honest. They're boring when they're when the 5 starters are in.
No, that 6-1 start was fun. That 6-1 start was fun. I'm sorry.
I didn't say that. See, you're twisting my words.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't say the 6-1. I didn't say the 6-1 start wasn't fun because everybody loves a good start. But when all 5 players are on the court together as starters, they are boring. These guys, they're flying around, they're running, they're up and down, they're trying to dunk on people. This is fun.
Imagine if Caleb was healthy for this stretch. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He's a missing ingredient to this.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, you know, it's kind of. It's like, you know, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But Jimmy is who he is and the way that he plays, which is very pragmatic. You know, there's nothing fun about the way Jimmy plays. Like Jimmy is bullish. Like there's nothing fun about the way Jimmy plays.
It's fun in the finals when there are stakes and he's just like mowing over KCP. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but there's nothing aesthetic about it.
No, but on a Tuesday against the Mavs, when it's like you know, you want something fun. No, but that's why
he's fun. But I agree with you that they play a little bit in molasses.
Yeah.
Without Kyle.
It's fun for basketball purists, not for fucking the average fan.
Jimmy's a tornado on defense. Jimmy's so fun on defense, and I don't want to talk about Jimmy too much.
He does so much of his stuff off the ball, though, like that in the margins. Like you're not noticing that unless you're watching him. Like everybody's
Right.
watching on the ball. He's doing all the work on in the nail and pinching and deflecting, and it's like, oh, he deflected it and Tyler got the ball. Tyler gets the steal, and then like, oh, look at this highlight from Tyler. Tyler throws a pass. Like that's all Jimmy started that.
What a
he didn't
great
get
entry
nothing.
pass from Butler. Look at the technique on that entry
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah, it's like come on,
The
man.
lost art of the entry pass. But I don't want to
Look
talk
at
about
that
Jimmy.
steal by Jimmy. Steal
He's so
and
good at
layup
that.
and foul. He's so good.
Well, I do
Nobody
that with
watches
PJ
that
too, because PJ is like Mr. Fundamental. Like PJ is a master, seal master. I love that dude so much.
But
has
it's fun.
to. He's like
You know why
6'4".
PJ is fun? Because we never got to see this PJ.
I know it's like a surprise every game.
You never know.
You
He's like
never know.
dribbling. He's dribbled the ball more times this season than he has his whole career.
Yes.
Every time PJ gets the ball, it's like opening a pack of Pokemon cards. You just are you gonna get a holographic Venusaur or Charizard? You don't know. You may. You know who's to say?
You lost him. You lost him.
I lost it. I was gonna go with a gotcha reference, but nobody knows what gotcha is. So then I pivoted pretty quickly. No, but like honestly, Tiff, they're really fun. Max flies around. Gabe is playing really fucking hard, and I think the Heat success, because I listen to Low talk with Pelton about the Heat, and they're just kind of like they didn't really have much to say. They're like, I just kind of look up and the Heat are winning games, and I'm like, Gabe Vincent 18, Gabe Vincent Heat check, Strus another game, okay, Kyle's getting them up and down the floor, Dedmon pretty good,
Right.
And I feel like the way that people talk about this team, it's just like they're like, and I guess they just patchwork games, but their offense isn't very good, but the games that they win, it's because they shoot really well. It has a lot of purpose. They put up a lot of shots. They play really fast, like in terms of maybe not in terms of pace numbers, but their offensive sets have a lot of motion. It's drive, kick. The ball is moving. It's swinging. It has energy. On defense, that game against Indiana was the most SPO game ever. The way they were fucking flying on defense, helping, digging, recovering. They were small. They're playing Duncan at the 4. And they're just flying all over the place, getting their hands everywhere, not fouling. It was artful.
Right.
And when it looks good, it looks like that, right? So they just like, can we, out of every 10 games, can we do that 5 times? And that's what they're banking on. And they're just like a lot of movement, a lot of active hands, Kyle getting them up and down, a lot of space, 5 out, and it's been fun.
It's funny because like they're pretty much doing this with like a Salvation Army lineup. And like I'm not hearing nothing from like any of the talking heads about like what they are doing. Like nobody is saying who the hell is Gabe Vincent and how are the Heat still winning? Like I haven't heard anyone on national media say it. Like no one's talking about it. And it's so interesting because we'd rather waste, 40 minutes of commentary and talk about why the Lakers are so bad instead of why the Heat are so good, why the Grizzlies are so, why the Grizzlies are so good. Because these are all, young, guys that
The
are
Cavs.
why the Cavs are so good. Like we're like omitting all these like fantastic things that are happening just to talk about like
Will
why
Kyrie
Russ
Irving
is still
play? We will
Right.
find out.
right. Like we're still like this is what we're doing. But the thing is, like I was telling someone that said the Heat are doing it with smoke and mirrors. No, there's no gimmicks to what they're doing. Spo is putting in a plan, but it still has to be executed.
The plan is the gimmick, though.
Huh?
The plan is the gimmick. I mean, it's not gimmick. It's just like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
There's no rabbit in the hat. Like it's not magic because these guys still have to hit these shots. They still have to box out. They still have to rebound. And you're talking about how many undrafted guys who are shutting down the likes of Joel Embiid. Like there's no gimmick. Like these guys have to put the plan in play and they are literally putting the plan in play.
Let's hit a couple points before we head out. Franky, mechanic has been, I don't know if you could ask for, I mean, literally, I don't think there's a better backup center in the league. The dude is absolutely incredible. Has done everything and more that they could possibly ask for him. He wasn't in the league a year and a half ago, and the fact that he went from out of the league to locking up Embiid to doing everything, shooting threes again, screening hard, rolling, rebounding, blocking shots yesterday, active teammate, leader. Franky, it's just it's insane. He's really good. I mentioned this a ton, like the way that he changes pace with his screening and rolling, because he's Bam is like screen and dart to the rim, right? And Dedmon will screen and hold. And I think yesterday you saw Indiana's defense a little bit concerned with the shooting, because he would kind of screen and they're like pop a roll, pop a roll, pop a roll. And they're just kind of Sabonis is caught in between. And then, the guards get by or somebody beats him off, like whatever. So he's just been fantastic. And I think, Franky, we got to give him his flowers.
His gout has really led him to get a head start on all these guys, because they're like, there's no way he's that slow. He's not that athletic. He's nimble. He really sets that screen, and he's like, oh shit, this is tight right now. I gotta get going. It takes him a little bit to get going. That's why it looks like he's just picking his spots. I'm on to you, Dedmon. I'm on to you, buddy. No, he's been outstanding. His screens, like you said, he gets a really wide screen, so it's really annoying to get around him on the screens. Gets good separation for the guards, and they really know how to use him and make him screeners, man. And now that he's hitting threes, he's taking it. I saw his splits. His splits as a starter and as a bench guy are insane, because he's pretty much only exclusively taking his threes as a starter, and. And it's look, he's taken. Hold on, I gotta go on Basketball Reference. ESPN sucks, but he's been just battling, rebounding, like hit, and a lot of times his numbers aren't even that crazy, like box score wise. But he's just been everywhere you need him to be. Look at this. He from as a starter, 11 of 17 from three. You want to guess how many threes he's taken as off the bench?
Two.
One of two. Like, he's just been way more aggressive, and that really helps the offense, because it's another guy they got to account for. And those are relief buckets, because those are energy plays. Like, that's a 3-pointer from your big man, and almost all of them are trailing threes, and that's just a little spark. They're like, fuck, we forgot him, and that's a run. Those starts runs all the time.
And he wanted to be here. That's the biggest thing. Like he wanted to return. He wanted to be with the Heat, and some guys will be nitpicky about their role and this and minutes and that, and he's just like he's giving them everything he has. I mean, yep. you can't. How can you not be happy with the guy who's going out there and he is giving you everything he has, and also just kind of like picking up the young players. You see him talking out there. He's active. He's moving. So yeah, personally, yes, he's definitely the best backup in the league. Like, there's hands down, there's nobody else for this team anyway.
He's just an active, huge body, and they just really, since Hassan, they haven't had that. And Hassan wasn't active. Hassan was just kind of doing Hassan things.
Hassan was active when he had 9 rebounds.
Like,
that's when he was active.
Dedmon feels like Dedmon always makes the correct play that they needed to be done, and Hassan always made the correct play for Hassan, right? And sometimes that was good for the team.
Chasing blocks.
Or rebound, or not even that, because I think he got better at the block chasing later on. Like, he learned stuff, and I feel like some people are revisionist with Hassan. He got better every year at certain things, just not a lot, but he got a little better, like the fouling and all that. He got better at whatever benefited Hassan. He was wired a little different, and that's fine. He was a really productive player here, and I think people pretending he wasn't is a little disingenuous. But Dedmon is like the veteran, more responsible version of that, with a little bit less athleticism, and he just gives them the lob catching is huge. Just the fact that they can throw him a half decent lob and he'll catch it and finish. His little reverse finishes under the basket are really nice. Impressive, because he'll get a pass, right? And I think that's sometimes you help your teammates. They'll get you good shots, but you got to help them when they give you a not so great pass. And if he catches a ball and he has to kind of gather, and then the help comes, he can kind of make a move under the rim kind of like you give it to a receiver and he kind of make a move and break a tackle kind of thing when you don't throw it a perfect ball. And he helps them in so many ways. And I don't think that people outside of Miami understand how good he is. All the lineup data with him is just absolutely insane. He's incredible. Real quick, let's touch on Gabe and then let's touch on Strus because we're running out of time. Not much to be said about Gabe other than the dude is a baller, shooting well. I think we knew he can get to the rim a little bit. We saw some of that last season. He has a handle. He's a bit of a slasher. I don't trust him handling the ball for long periods of time. But I do think as a secondary ball handler, kind of attacking bent defenses, he's been really good. And the fact that the shot has been going, the defense has always been there, Tiff. I mean, just that's the backup point guard they need.
Right, exactly. While we were, searching all around preseason, wondering what we were going to do. Right, he was right. He was sitting right there in front of us. And he also said at some point, I guess like a month ago or something, that he's finally healthy. Like that's the other thing. So apparently he's been going through, I don't know how many injuries in the last 2 years, but he said he's finally healthy and his body just feels right. Because sometimes we think players are just not living up to whatever they're supposed to. And we don't know about all the nagging injuries and all these things that are happening to these guys. But listen, he's playing hard. The shots are going in. The defense is going in. The ball handling is getting better. What else can we ask for?
Exactly. And he's getting to play a lot more off the ball, which he's clearly more comfortable. Like you said, he's coming off being the secondary ball handler, tech and bend defenses, getting more shots in rhythm for himself. And he's according to B-Ball Reference, he's playing almost half of his minutes as a two guard next to Lowry. And it's also a thing where it could just be he's more comfortable. He's confident. He feels like he belongs now. He's up to 37.5% from three, and that's with the slow start in the beginning of the season. He's just grown a lot over these 3 years that the Heat have had him. And also Strus. Like Strus has had this is his first time getting real minutes on a team, and he's been fantastic. He's the shooting is the obvious thing there, but the slashing, the boxing out, the rebounds, he's averaging 3 boards in 20 minutes a game. He's contributing. He's over double digits, averaging 10.3 right now. And he's competing. He's giving you a lot of relief when other guys aren't going. He's consistent with the shot. You can put him at the spot up. You can run a play for him as a shot. He can bail you out end of a possession with a deep three, and he's been really fun to watch. It's just nice to have those guys contributing at the back of you hoped were back of the rotation guys, and that had to be contribute a lot more as spot starters and 6th, 7th men. Consistently, they've been growing and developing, and like shit, man. Max Strus is going to cost a little bit of money when the Heat it's time to re-sign him.
I wanna let's hit a little bit of Strus. He's the guy that I think I'm still the most, how do I say it? Lukewarm about, skeptical. So when we look at a playoff rotation, right? I think Jimmy, PJ, Bam, Lowry, Duncan, right? Starting 5. Tyler, your 6th man. Dedmon, your backup 5. Now we're at 7. I think Markieff, absolutely, that look that he gives them is really important. Now we're at 8 guys. And then Oladipo, 9. That's a 9-man rotation, which is a really deep playoff rotation. That's both teams typically go 8. Let's say that they go 9 because maybe Markieff is a more matchup dependent guy. Maybe against the Nets, they won't really use Markieff as much because they want to downsize, whatever. So 8.5. That leaves Gabe. That leaves Strus, right? Kind of on the outside. And I think Gabe has a much better chance of breaking that rotation. If they kind of want an extra 3-guard look than Max. I think Max has been unreal for them as a shooter, and I think he's more than of a regular season innings eater right now. I think if Duncan didn't exist, this would be different. I just think Duncan is just a lot better than him defensively, I think Duncan's a lot better on offense. Maybe Strus is having a bit of a better shooting year. I don't think that Duncan won't get to that level that we know that Duncan's capable of. I think he's already showing that he's pretty much almost there, shooting all those contested looks and doing that stuff. Strus offers a bit of kind of downhill pressure as a cutter, as a roller. I think Duncan's a really good cutter, but Strus is just a bigger dude and more athletic. So Duncan's just a smarter player too, a better screener. And he's been in the system longer, so he kind of understands the nuances and has played more minutes with these guys on the floor. So I'm a little skeptical on. I think Max is playing really well. I know it's just making faces at me. He's played really, really well, and I think he deserves the praise, and I think he's earned minutes. But I just think in a playoff setting, I think he's the guy. He's the first guy out of those 10 that, or out of those 11 that you're like, okay, like those minutes are cut, and then now we're at our 10 man, and then Gabe's next.
I think I honestly think we shouldn't even say who's in the rotation for the playoffs. Like we don't even know who's in the rotation for tomorrow. I also think, like, I beg to differ when you say that Duncan is a smarter player. Like that's like I don't.
It's
think
it's a loaded term too, because I don't like saying
yes,
smarter player.
It is a very loaded term, considering those fouls that he gets.
Oh no, I meant more loaded because like I don't want to call like players like unintelligent or whatever.
We should Photoshop Duncan in like a sumo outfit. That's how you defense.
Well, go ahead, Jeff.
I just think that like if Duncan doesn't have it, are we gonna does Spo immediately go to Tyler? Like, we have no idea how, but we don't know that. Because here's the other thing. Maybe Spo immediately goes to Victor Oladipo.
It depends on I mean, like, what do you mean, like, as a
I'm
starter?
not even going to say depending on matchups or anything. I'm just saying, if we're 3 minutes into the game and Duncan has those glitches that he does where all of a sudden you got 2 fouls and you don't know what happened, does he immediately go to Victor or does he go to Tyler?
He's gotten better at that. He's gotten better at that.
Okay, but you didn't answer the question.
It depends. It depends on the thing I'm at.
So,
like,
but that's the thing. So we
of
keep saying
Battier.
someone is out of the rotation, but like we have no idea how Spo wants to play it.
Well, I
Like,
mean, I think we can all agree that they're not going to have an 11-man playoff rotation.
I'm not going to agree with that because listen, this season I definitely won't agree with that. There's just too many people in and out for like Spo to just say,
"Oh yeah,
I'm riding with
Tiff." But like I'm saying that, like, you know, when we talk about playoff projections, you know, we're assuming health, right? Like, we're always operating. And I know you're gonna say we can't assume health. Of course, we can't assume health, but there's no other way to talk about these things other than because they're not gonna win a title if they're not healthy. So we have to assume that
they just got to be the healthiest. I don't think anyone's going to be completely by the time this is over with.
When I say healthy, I just mean like they have their players active. You know, if fucking somebody has a bruise on their fucking hip or whatever, it is what it is. You play through it, right? In the playoffs, you play through these things. But yeah, I just don't. I think I've never seen Spo. I've never seen really any coach do an 11-man playoff rotation. Like,
right, but we have no idea. And also, Victor is the wild card because we keep saying minutes are getting cut, but he's going to set the table for where the minutes go. Like, I really think he's going to set the table.
We talked about that pregame, and I said, at what point is it not a guarantee that Victor takes Gabe's minutes?
I think it's health mostly because I think Victor's upside is just way higher than Gabe's.
His upside is higher than anyone on the bench and a few of your starters if he's 100% healthy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, let's be realistic.
Right. But I think we all expect him, like, not to be, like, even best Victor we get. If we get Victor this season, I think best Victor, we're all expecting, like, 80% of what he was. Which is still a good player.
And that's still better than a lot of people in the league at this point. So I think he sets the table. That. Right. I think he sets the table for what happens with the minutes. Because if he comes out barnstorming, what do you do?
Yeah. If he can't move, if he's not 100%, he's not
capable. But I'm saying if he's barnstorming, which means that he's He's
He's
running,
wreaking
he's
havoc.
cutting, he's dunking, he's wreaking. Yeah. So then what do? Because you can't,
playing.
with that defense, you can't keep him on the bench.
Right.
Like,
Right. He's able to make plays even when his shot's not falling.
exactly.
In transition defensively, like his upside defensively is way higher than anybody on the bench.
His upside defensively is the difference between them being a really good team and them being a championship team, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
100%.
So he's gonna cut that. If he's healthy, he's cutting the line.
Yeah.
No, yeah. If he looks good, he's cutting the line. I mean, it's not even.
He's the eighth man. He's the eighth man on the rotation. I agree with that. And possibly, like I think we're definitely going to see. Oh, no, hold on, I was about to get to that. You cut me off, Tiff. You're cutting the line now, Tiff. If Duncan is still struggling with the starting lineup, I could definitely see Spo tinker with that and see. I know there's not shooting. I know G's going to come in with that. There's not a lot of shooting, but I could see that lineup going with that just to see the talent.
I can see them going to that, not starting it. I can totally see them.
Yeah. Like we'll see minutes, especially when they need to stop. That's gonna be the rotation.
So like against the Nets, and like we don't know about Brook Lopez, and if Brook Lopez is not coming back this season,
I feel like he's not. He had back surgery.
They feel optimistic. I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot of things that people feel whatever. Regardless, if he doesn't come back, then the Bucks instantly go to either Portis or Giannis at the 5, and Miami has historically just made Bobby Portis their baby. So if they go Giannis at the 5, you're really and same with the Nets who go really small. You're kind of afforded these, Bam, Tucker, Jimmy, Kyle plus either Duncan or Depot lineups, right? And optimally that's Depot. And at that point, you're just like, if Depot is what we think he can be, it's a good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Kyle has been unimaginably good defensively this season. I think that we have not talked about that enough. I mean, the fact that they switch him and he does not give up an inch on a post up. His rebounding has been really good at especially at his age, his activity. The kind of active hands, the just his work helping the rotations. Not to spend too much time on Kyle, but we didn't talk about that. So listen.
Wait. I did want to chime in on that. On the possible playoff rotation. I do think like you and me talked about Caleb versus Strus and Gabe, because I think Caleb definitely deserves a seat at that table.
Forgot about Caleb too.
Yeah,
because we haven't seen him. It's like out of sight, out of mind.
But between those three, if you need a ninth man, I think you if it's not Markieff, obviously too. Markieff is one of those.
That's
guys
matchup dependent. I think I think Markieff becomes matchup dependent, and what they may do, Franky, is certain matchups it's Caleb and certain matchups it's Markieff.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But you and some other people you were mentioning, like Caleb over Max, the reason. Like that's a fair opinion. That's your opinion. That's fine. The reason why I wouldn't do that if Depot is ready is the rest of those guys. It's only Lowry, Duncan, and Tyler that you trust shooting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're gonna pick another guy who can, if you have Depot, I need Max. You need Max.
Right.
To play
you need
more
a shooter.
Minutes. You need shooters, guys who who will get defended like shooters and can hit at a high clip. Caleb for hitting all these wide open shots at a 37% clip has been fantastic, a revelation. But the expectation, I don't think this is gonna carry over to the defense. He's got a spark plug. I want that guy. When the Heat are in a funk in a playoff game and they need some juice, throw Caleb in there, make something happen, run some wild, make some plays. But if it's game 5 on the road and I need to win this game, I'm trusting Max over Caleb all day.
So, correctly on us, how many days has Caleb been in health and safety protocol? So he went in, Chad and I argued about this. He went in the 11th of December. So that is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. Today's 11 days. So he's past the 10 day. So if he is asymptomatic, I think after 10 days,
he should be able to come back.
You should. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Do you have to test negative for it, or
I don't? They've been very unclear about that, Franky. Even Zach Lowe had a virologist on the show, and he made it seem like once you pass the 10-day period, if your symptoms are worsening, you can just fucking not quarantine anymore. So that was a little surprising to me. By the way, check out that podcast. I think it
Can
has
we arrest Adam Silver?
a wealth of
What is he doing?
information. Adam Silver's never seeing heaven.
Adam Bronze. Let's call him that from now
Adam
on.
Bronze. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the pod today. We have a hangover time and Weird Off tomorrow. We're gonna kind of finish out this week. And then we'll see. I don't think this will be the last pod of the year. I think we'll do maybe one or two more. But we'll kind of play it by ear. Thank you to our wonderful audience this year. You guys have been fantastic, and you've made this the
best.
The biggest year of Heat Beat ever. And listen, of the amazing people that have walked in and out of these doors, people that are some of the people in this world I respect the most, and we've managed to get even more people that I respect as much, if not more. And that's thanks to you guys kind of giving, us a platform to listen to and all that. So we thank you guys for your kindness, for your donations, your comments, your jokes, your roasts, everything. So I don't think this will be the last pod of the year. I plan to do maybe one or two more. It kind of depends on how the rest of the year goes, but we will be on Hangover Time rest of the week. And then we'll kind of update you on the pod. And for sure, January, it's a race
WAP.
to the All-Star game, huh?
And WAP.
And WAP. I did say WAP.
We got the Weird Off pregame show.
I said Weird Off pregame show tomorrow.
No, you said Hangover Time.
I said Weird Off too. I'm producing WAP, so I
double it up. You got to promote Weird Off. The Weird Off pregame show.
Reminder: if you're just tuning in, or if you're listening, the watch party on the 29th is postponed. We're keeping our community and our people safe. So remember to stay tuned to our Twitter account at MI freaking Franky.
You cut me off, bro.
I know. What am I gonna do? This is the graphic. I did a good job on the graphic. All right, come on, give me credit.
You did. You did.
Thank you. Graphic design is my passion.